What's up, guys? Welcome back to DCD Podcast, episode number 14. And today we're joined with Alexander. How you doing?
Doing pretty well, Andy. How are you?
Good. Didn't have a special intro for you. Couldn't think of anything on the spot.
It's all good, man. It's all good. You kind of shocked me with the intro to begin with, so that was kind of... Sometimes I see it coming, because I try to read your face. There's a video version of the podcast out there, guys, if you're wondering why I'm talking about Andy's face. Check it out on YouTube. But yeah, sometimes I'm surprised by the intro, and then there's other times where I can kind of see by your face like, oh, it's coming. So how was your week?
I mean, solid. Besides the fact that I got in a car accident.
Wait, what?
Besides that,
Wait,
no,
no.
very good.
Wait, what is this? You didn't tell me. We're podcast we're podcast partners. Like
I gotta save it for the podcast, you know.
But we're supposed to let each other know about this stuff. Like, you could have died, Andy.
It was a 5-mile-an-hour crash.
Wait.
5-mile-an-hour bumped into someone.
Explain yourself, Andy. What happened?
Gave him a little nubbin.
Give a little bump.
So I probably shouldn't be saying this, but
Sure.
there's a person to my left at a fast food restaurant. I can't really see cars coming from the left. I'm trying to turn right.
Okay.
And they honked at me. So I thought it meant like they're telling me to go or something. So I went, and there was a car. That gave a bit of a, little toot.
So obviously you're safe, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no damage to anything.
Nobody got hurt.
We just exchanged paint.
Okay. So I have not had this happen to me. Okay, like where I've hit somebody at that speed, but I have gotten tapped in the back on my car like twice. And both times I got out of the car, I looked, I saw like a little bit of a scratch on the bumper, and I'm like, I'm not even going to bother with an insurance claim. Like, it's just not worth my time. How did this person react to you?
The cops are called.
No way.
Yeah.
Over that?
Yeah.
Most people, like, I've seen it. I've been a third party to this, right? Where I wasn't even involved. Like, I watched this one guy. He was at a red light. The other person, he thought they were going to go through and turn right on red because they went to a full stop and they were kind of crawling forward. And you could tell he just misjudged it and just kind of barely tapped him. And the person got out of the car and they looked irritated at first. They saw no damage and they're like, oh, okay. And then they just got in the car and left. Like, they called the cops?
Yep.
What did the cops say? Usually they're kind of like, you called me for this.
He whamped me and he's like, what happened? I was just like, yeah.
What happened?
You're going to have to bleep it because this is directly what I said, but I said, yeah, I'm a dumb.
Well, I mean, we all have those moments, dude. Like, oh man, I don't know if I want to tell this story, but there was a girl that I was taking to school. She was a grade younger than I was. She's a foreign exchange student. I really liked her. And I was like, oh yeah, I have a car and she lives in the same neighborhood and she's been looking for somebody who can give her a ride to school every morning. This might be my in, to like eventually get her to go out with me. Spoiler alert, first day I knew that wasn't going to happen when she got in the car and she sat in the back seat instead of the front seat. Yeah, I was like, wow, it's like driving Miss Daisy now. But, well, at the time I didn't even know what that was. But nevertheless, yeah, I was trying to talk to her one day on the way home from school, and I'm an idiot. I'm doing, just an idiot move. And I'm turned around talking to her, and I run right into the back of somebody at about 10 miles an hour. So, like, I've been there. The downside was it did quite a bit of damage to my car. It didn't do so much to the work truck that I hit.
To brighten the mood, Tom Brady, as of this moment, right now, as recording this podcast, threw his 500th touchdown to Josh Gordon.
That doesn't brighten my mood at all, but okay. I really, not a Tom Brady fan, definitely not a Patriots fan, but there you go. But good for Josh Gordon. It's really nice that he's, I guess, at least fitting in there in New England and getting some work done. And it looks like they're utilizing him pretty well. I think that he's been at the very least, I feel like he's been a positive contributor to the team thus far. So it's good to see.
Anybody could at that point.
I mean, you say that, but they've let quite a few receivers go. So it is kind of it is refreshing to see somebody, do well in a situation where I honestly did not think he would do well. But so I have one last question. Did they write up like a full police report and everything? Oh my God. That person had to be the biggest buzzkill in the world.
I was just trying to, get my food and deuce.
Get your food and deuce? What restaurant were you going to?
Culver's.
Oh man. I think they have one of those down here. What do you think about that place? Because Ashley wanted me to take her there, and I was like, this food doesn't look very good.
Yeah, but they have good ice cream. That's why I went.
They have good ice cream.
And it melted because the cop was there.
Oh, no, it melted. Oh, jeez, man. Like, that's terrible. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Andy.
As a fat boy.
Well, I mean, we all have our fat kid moments. I know I certainly do. Man, what a downer. Well.
Yeah. I never asked you how your week was. How was that?
Lots of stress, man. Lots of stress.
You had a special guest over.
Yeah, I did. Julian from the Lazy Gaming Guys came over to my house. We did a stream for Mega Man 11. We're going to talk about Mega Man 11 a little bit later. That was pretty fun. So shout out to Julian and the Lazy Gaming Guys. You can find them on YouTube. You just got to search for Lazy Gaming Guys, but you would probably put spaces in when you search. Don't put spaces. It's all one word. I don't know why, but it's all one word. And they'll pop up. They'll be the first one there. They're also on the main page. If you go to my YouTube channel, the easiest way to get there is purpleswordfish.com. You see them on the main page along with many other YouTube channels that I thoroughly enjoy, including this one. I think this one's number 1 on my list now. It should be. Better be. Got to pitch this podcast, man.
Did you use YouTube back in the day whenever you had the top 10 lists on people channels?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, but I do remember seeing that. I remember a lot of stuff being different on YouTube. I remember when you probably remember this. Remember when videos used to have like star ratings?
Yep.
So it was kind of like iTunes is with like podcasts where you get
the comment section is on the right.
Yeah.
And the description is on the right at one point too.
Yeah. I will say this. As much as people give YouTube a hard time and consistently complain about new changes that roll out on YouTube, as a content creator, while I haven't agreed with all of the changes that they've come up with, the vast majority of them are pretty positive long term. I know that makes me sound like I'm a shill, but I don't want YouTube from 2008 back. I like YouTube from now. It's better. There's like some really cool stuff. I just think people sometimes focus a little bit too much on the negative. So like I would love for the star rating system to come back. I feel like it gave you a truer sense of how people felt about a video because, either...
Yeah, but at the same time, even Netflix got rid of the star system.
Yeah. That was getting abused, by the way. There were people that were targeting... Okay, first off, full disclaimer here, might trigger some people. So if it does, I'm sorry. Please keep listening. Just mute for like the next 10 seconds. Amy Schumer had a stand-up special and people were like mass disliking it, like giving it 1-star ratings, and they actually pulled the rating system from it. And I was like, well, Netflix, she's not funny to begin with, so you don't know. It could just be people telling the truth. Sorry. I don't think Amy Schumer's funny.
Speaking of mass disliking, have you heard the Venom stuff?
I did see that. So first off, I've been avoiding commercials and trailers for the film because I want to go see it and I don't want anything ruined. And as they get closer to the release of films, Daniel talks about this all the time on his podcast, The Reasons I'm Broke. He always says, like, I avoid the trailers as it gets closer to release, or I avoid them altogether. But specifically the ones closer to release, he's absolutely right. Like, they start letting out more details, like, probably maybe a little too much because they're trying to sell people on it. And, like, I don't want anything ruined about the movie. I want to go in. So, number one with Venom, I'm going to go in. I have no expectations. I've only
seen the first trailer.
I'm hoping it's good. Yeah, me too. And I will say this, even if it's terrible, my hope is that even if it has bad writing or bad filming techniques or bad special effects, Tom Hardy is awesome. Like, I love Tom Hardy. Like, Star Trek Nemesis is a good example of a movie that had flawed writing, had some flawed plot points, wasn't very well received. But Tom Hardy was one of the bright spots to that movie.
Yeah.
Specifically his performance along with Patrick Stewart. But anyway, I'm going to go in with an open mind and I'm going to hope it's good. But I've heard the newer advertising campaign is kind of more jokey. Is that what you're talking about or no?
No. Oh, so it's getting mass dislikes on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff.
Oh.
By not Marvel fans. You would think Marvel fans. But by Lady Gaga fans. Because it released the same day as A Star Is Born, a movie that Lady Gaga's in.
Oh my God, Andy. Why are people the way they are?
So Lady Gaga fans are mass disliking, so people go see the Lady Gaga movie.
So hear me out on this, Andy. And this might be a good segue into our next topic. Well, the first topic that I'm going to go into. Do you think that you're familiar with Venn diagrams? You're a smart guy, right? Okay, yeah. So, like, if we had a Venn diagram of people that are going to see Venom and people that are going to see the Lady Gaga movie, do you think there's a lot of overlap in the middle?
I mean, there's some.
Some, right? But it's not a big... This isn't like Avengers... This isn't like the equivalent of Justice League and Avengers launching on the same week, right? Because, like, that would have a lot of overlap. Because there's a lot of people who like DC and Marvel. But I'm thinking of all the Lady Gaga fans I know, and I'm thinking of all the Venom, Marvel, Sony Pictures fans that I know. I can only think of one person, and he's not the normal guy. Okay? No, wait, do you like Lady Gaga?
No, I was just saying, like, I'd be the one to watch both movies.
Hey, man, I'll tell you this right now, man. That first album she came out with, The Fame, they had some bangers on there. I used to rock out to that. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Okay, you're talking to a guy who's admitted that dude, it had some bangers. It had some bangers, dude. You start hearing like, what was that? What was the name? Oh my God, what the hell is the name of it? I don't know. There was one on there where you just want to like crack open a tall boy and hang out in front of a gas station while it's pumping it in your car. You know, you feel like a real badass then. That'll teach everybody.
Anyways, finally getting into our first topic.
Yeah, let's go to the first topic here before I start incriminating myself talking about loitering. But speaking of overlaps, I guess I'll go into this one. I saw that you got into a very passionate argument on Twitter. It's a good friend of the show, Jerome PKR. I love Jerome. He's awesome.
It happens. He deleted the tweets.
No.
Yeah, we like DM'd back and forth after it, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna delete the tweets." We got kind of carried away.
I don't think guys got carried away. I think there was just an impassioned argument because he DM'd me, and I was like, "You know what's funny?" I said, "You know what's funny is I think both of you guys are gonna end up buying both games anyway."
Yeah, I mean, I am.
That's how I looked at it, but like he had the theory, and I kind of wanted to hear you expand a little bit on your thoughts. That Call of Duty and Red Dead have one company or the other has purposely avoided launching in the same week. So I kind of wanted to get your take on that.
I mean, one, they're never going to open on first week in general. Two, his main point was that Call of Duty changed its release date, which it never did.
Okay.
And like, I mean, you can't fight back. So I think I'm just like beating a dead horse at this point.
No, I certainly don't want to beat up Jerome's perspective. Like, I wanted to play a little devil's advocate here.
My main point of the argument was that they won't affect each other's sales. Obviously, like it will, but I don't know. They both have really high floors. If that makes any sense.
No, I agree with you there. I think that like these are both AAA games. I guess the point that I was trying to make, and I wanted to play in a little bit of devil's advocate. I'm not saying Call of Duty changed their release date, but let's just say Red Dead released the same day as Call of Duty, wouldn't it behoove you to
Call of Duty outsell it.
probably? I think you
You
might
know
be.
why?
I think you might be right there,
You know
just
why?
because Call of Duty is
The
really
main-
hard to topple.
I think the main thing that separates me in the argument as to winning side is Red Dead Online doesn't come out until November.
You're probably right on that. Where I think that so here's what I'll say. Call of Duty will probably outsell it the first month. I don't know if over the course of the next 3 years it will, because I think that Red Dead Redemption is what used to be referred to in the video game retail industry as an evergreen title. Those are very rare. An example of an evergreen title is something that will have a long lifespan and sell and
Grand Theft Auto
command.
5,
That's a perfect example.
Minecraft.
Another perfect example, World of Warcraft is another one. Games that have a lot of Halo 5 even, Forza Motorsports, believe it or not, these games do not come out once a year.
They do. Forza does.
Not once a year, pal. Once every 2-3 years.
Every year.
Well, they do a Forza Horizon, but that's different from Forza Motorsport.
It's every 2 years then.
Okay, but what I'm saying though is like there's certain like Spider-Man on PS4 is another one that will continue to sell. God of War is another franchise. Anytime and they used to refer to them as evergreen titles because no matter how long they're out, we would always have them in stock and they would always sell plentifully. Grand Theft Auto always does. Red Dead Redemption, the first one on the Xbox 360 and PS3, definitely was another one of those titles. I would say that long term, Red Dead Redemption 2 might outsell Call of Duty just because it'll be selling more for a longer period of time.
It'll probably be the most sold game of the year.
Probably. But I think that the one thing that Call of Duty does is it always gets unbelievable week 1, week 2, and month 1 numbers. Like the first month it's out, it's a juggernaut because
and Christmas.
Yeah, dude. It's just such a huge franchise. I don't care what anybody says. It's still, I think that Call of Duty is probably still the most popular shooter out there. Could be wrong.
Shooter, yeah.
Somebody might say Fortnite, but I don't
count GTA as a shooter than GTA.
Yeah. So I don't know,
but
man. I just don't see them wanting to come out in the same week, though. I
My
don't
main
think that
case
I'd want
is that
to.
they're two different games.
You're right.
Like two completely different games.
You're right, but I don't know. I kind of see Jerome's point. Like, I wouldn't want, even if I will say this, if I'm Rockstar and let's just say Call of Duty, some oversight happened in my company and we managed to announce that Red Dead was going to come out the same day as Call of Duty, and like we just found out, I'd have an oh shit moment. Well, now I got to bleep that out. we got 2 today. I'm going to put that at 1829, another bleep. But like, I would really want to like move my date one way or the other because
I'll leave it.
I don't want to, because I think that your hardcore consumer goes in a video game store once a week, and they usually buy one game.
I feel like the hardcore is going to Red Dead though.
Really? I guess it would be somewhat different consumers. I guess as somebody who is maybe...
The way I see it is the single player community, role-playing game community, is going with Call of Duty. Or, sorry, Red Dead. And then the players that play games because they like the competitive aspects of games will go with Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's a shame Call of Duty didn't have a single player so that they could, go head to head in a single player capacity.
Outsell. It'll be one of the most sold Call of Duties in history.
Maybe. I think that this Battle Royale mode, though,
top
is,
3. Yeah. I can almost guarantee it. Most sold Call of Duty ever.
I have that same level of positivity towards it. And the reason I say that is the Blackout beta was very convincing to me. It made the Battle Royale genre very appealing. And
it had 250,000 Twitch viewers.
It's pretty sick, dude, because it's like the perfect storm. It's already got the Call of Duty multiplayer aspect, and it's adding in
It's
this battle
already has
royale
a
mode,
it has a high floor because of the multiplayer.
and then like the single
Now it
player
has
leaving. I don't think like at first I was a little upset, but then again I didn't even know about the battle
another
royale
argument on
mode.
Twitter.
What?
Another argument on Twitter. Me and you had.
Yeah.
It
I
probably has
didn't
the
delete the
highest
tweets
ceiling out
though.
of all games.
What?
It probably has Call of Duty this year has probably the highest ceiling for sold games this year out of any game.
I don't know. I'd be worried. I wouldn't be worried if I was Fortnite. And the reason I wouldn't be worried about Fortnite is when I go to
It's free.
when I go to video game stores, everybody talks about, well, it's free. And I think that most people who buy a system, it's one of the first things they download because it's right there on the main page. Like, hey, this is free. PUBG, man, I'd be worried if I was PUBG.
PUBG's dead.
Okay. Well, on consoles, I think PUBG has a lot to worry about. I kind of
console PUBG's it's done.
I wonder if Microsoft knew that Call of Duty was going to do a battle royale mode when they did that exclusivity deal with PUBG. I kind of wonder if that would have changed their mind.
Why not? Because Call of Duty has exclusive rights with the PlayStation.
Well, anyway, we'll move on
I'll leave it with what Jerome said.
Here we go.
I'll just leave it here.
Yeah.
We both made some good points. We both made some stupid points.
I will agree with that. I think that there were probably more valid points on both sides than stupid points, but yeah. It was just
Mega Man 11.
Oh, we're going to go into Mega Man 11?
Yeah, you played it on stream?
Yeah. Well, first, I want to say that Mega Man 11 is awesome. And
never played a Mega Man.
Well, this will be a good jumping on point for you. So I just wanted to say a couple things and then kind of ask you a question about it. I know what my answer is, and I know most people can probably already tell because I'm kind of biased. But I really like the new Mega Man game. It's really good. And it's also really nice and refreshing to see Capcom not abandon an old franchise, which is something they've been doing with regularity over the last couple of years. Like, I didn't ever think we would get another Mega Man game. I thought that series was kind of dead. Capcom didn't think it would sell. But I will just put like a personal thing out there for you guys, like just my own mantra. If you are happy that they made another Mega Man game, please go out and buy it as soon as possible to show Capcom and whoever else that makes these kind of financial decisions that the Mega Man series is viable, because it's the only way they will make another one. Because if it doesn't sell well, that's going to be the end of it. It's going to be dead in the ground. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves. I think that was a question, like, I think maybe last week or the week before. But one of my biggest pet peeves are people who will ask for like a video game series to return or get rebooted or get a new like DLC add-on or anything like that, and then people don't support it financially. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves. If you ask for it, you better go out and buy that and support it because somebody worked really hard on it. And if you want it again in the future, the only way to show them that there's a demand is to buy it. But the question I have for you, Andy, is do you think that there is, keep in mind Mega Man 11 is $29.99. There's a physical version of the game and a digital version, so it's not just digital only. Do you think there's still a space in the video gaming world for something like Mega Man 11, a 2D platformer?
I mean, yeah, Cuphead was like the biggest game of last year. Did it come out last year or this year? I don't know.
That's a fair
point. Cuphead, when it was released, was a massive game.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I didn't even think to compare it to Cuphead, but Cuphead is, I don't know.
Cuphead was excellent.
Oh, God, it's so good. I mean, like the hand-drawn graphics and all the time and painstaking effort that they put into it.
I was excited for that when they announced it back in 2013, 14.
It seemed like it was in development forever. For a while there, I thought it might not even come out at all. But I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of people out there. I see them, like even coming in my chat. Here's why I asked the question. Do you think younger audiences know much about Mega Man? And here's the reason I say that. There's been a long time since the last new Mega Man game.
I mean, Legacy. X Legacy or whatever it's called.
Well, yeah, but like I don't think that anybody would play that unless they played the original games. It's kind of weird because I had so many people coming in my stream and saying, I've never played a Mega Man game before. I had some younger, and these are like younger people that come to my streams that I know are like in their early teens or like mid-teens. And they were like, yeah,
I
I've
mean,
never played Mega Man before, but this looks cool.
I haven't.
Would you recommend? Well,
I know what it's about though. I know you have the bosses, like 9 of them at the start of the screen. You pick them, and then
it surprises me a little
I
bit.
get the general concept of Mega Man.
It surprises me a little bit that you haven't played one before, but not that much. I guess maybe just based on your age, but then it also kind of shocks me because your first main system that you really cut your teeth on was a Super NES, right?
Yeah.
And
Played
Mega Man was alive and well at that point.
only like 3. The only I don't know. The games I remember mostly is like Super Mario Bros. Mario World.
Super Mario World to this day is my wife's favorite Mario game. And we were going back and playing it, and I can
It's
totally...
one of the reasons, I bought the OS NES Classic.
That thing's an amazing little box. I love that thing. And, like, we went back and we were playing Super Mario World, and it quickly reminded me of, like, my favorite Mario game. If we're talking about traditional 2D Mario, it's always going to be Super Mario Brothers 3 on the NES.
The theater one.
Yes, the theater one. And I love that game for like a lot of reasons, but I do fully realize that Super Mario World is a better game. It's just Super Mario Brothers 3, like I have more of a sentimental and nostalgic attachment to
My
it.
teachers would argue strongly that 3 is the best.
It depends, man. I think that like a lot of people that will say Super Mario World was the best say that because they started with an SNES, like my wife. However, what makes it a little bit muddy is a lot of people that had a Super NES also got a game called Super Mario All-Stars, which had all of the NES Mario games on it. So they played it on Super Nintendo. So some people kind of got their experience with 3 then. But I will say this. I mean, like, if I got a Super Nintendo and then I played Super Mario World and then I played Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers 3 would feel a little dated by comparison just because of the architecture that it was built for. But anyway.
I know some people that would argue Super Mario Bros. 2 is the best. The one that wasn't even supposed to be a Mario game.
That one's so... To me, like, I like Super Mario Brothers 2... And I probably like Super Mario Brothers 2 a little bit more than Super Mario Brothers 1 or the original. But when it comes to Mario games, it feels a little bit like a stepchild. It's like it's in
the outsider.
It's in the family, but it's not like really
technically
family, if that makes sense.
It wasn't even supposed to be a Mario game.
And if you're a stepchild out there, I totally identify with it. I was a stepchild too. So like no offense. But it's just like it's close, and it's about as close to the family as you can get, but it's not like technically, scientifically the same thing. Anyway,
all right, let's get into user submitted topics. Something that
oh my god, I forgot about those this week. Thank you for saving me.
Yeah, I think it's the longest we've gone without talking about it.
Yeah.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions.
What?
Submitted. First one is by Bobby Clark, good friend of the channel. And he asks, how are we doing on the World of Warcraft Let's Play with Andy? So how are we doing with
Bobby, I love you, man. At Cuban Swim on Twitter, you can follow him. He's a great follow, and he knows
Cuban with a Q, not a...
Yeah, Cuban with a Q. Cuban Slim. And Bobby knows more about World of Warcraft than I'll probably ever... Bobby's forgotten more about World of Warcraft than I'll probably ever know. But Andy, like, when we're gonna play some World of Warcraft, man?
I don't know.
Come on, pal.
Call of Duty's about to come out. Maybe next summer.
Just everybody, if you really want to see this happen, and I do too, so I'm gonna just start submitting my own question. We're just gonna ask it Andy every week until it happens. How about that?
All right. Next question we have Colbster.
Colbster.
He asks, EA Sports Mutt does not care about my feelings or yours. Do we take them to count or leave them to wallow in their own insecurities?
I'm thinking about suing them. I don't know about if Colby wants to join me in suing EA I'm fine with it because they've blocked me. I feel mistreated. I feel like I've been discriminated against as someone who sold coins a couple times, and I'm sorry for that, and somebody who helped a friend by pitching an ebook on my Twitter. Coincidental, I think it was the ebook, man, because it was like the day I tweeted out Thrones ebook, I got blocked. So, but yeah, I'm thinking about suing him, Colby. But thank you for the question, and thanks for being a supporter of the podcast.
Next, we have the Shadow King Julian.
Yes.
He asks, how much is too much?
For me, it's the point of saturation. So, like, when you ever have somebody make you a glass of iced tea, and you're like, yeah, I want a sweet iced tea, and they start putting sugar in the iced tea, and you can see, like, the sugar, like, floating around in there because it's the point of saturation from a scientific standpoint. That's too much. So, Andy, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I'm going to go with the solid 3.
Solid 3?
Yeah. 3's too much.
Well, in movie franchises, that's usually the truth.
Then we have Alpha Mega Zulu asks, most disappointed in a video game you were really looking forward to? Which mine is Murder Soul Suspect.
Yeah, Murder
Paid $60, played it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, WrestleMania 21 for me on the Xbox. I think I have the right WrestleMania. It was so broken that GameStop offered to just take returns on it. That's a good one. I will also say, okay, here's a little bit of a better answer. Two Worlds on the Xbox 360, not the second one, the original one that was just called Two Worlds. I know they came out with a second one that had a subtitle, but that was a totally different game. And Two Worlds was supposed to, the way they pitched that game was it was supposed to be Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, basically a clone of that, but with 4-player co-op. And it was a train wreck. It got delayed a bunch of times. It didn't work right. The gameplay was awful. The fighting mechanics were awful. I ended up returning it as well.
All right. Next, we have a more political question.
Really?
What do you guys think of the media, such as the news, saying video games are the reasons for kids going violent?
So I think me and Andy will agree on this one, but I feel like it's the media looking for a scapegoat, because I think that the media knows the best way to get people riled up. Because here's the thing, when you're the news, you want people to get riled up so they keep watching the news. You don't want there to be any kind of like, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal.
Skip Bayless.
Yeah, exactly. Skip Bayless is a perfect example. He just stirs the pot constantly. That's his brand. He's controversial. Controversy creates cash, in the words of Eric Bischoff. So it always works to create controversy, and human beings are very simple creatures. We believe in cause and effect. We don't really think about all the different causes. So, like, you know, why do you get up and go to work in the morning? Like, some people would just say, oh, just to make money. There's a lot of other causes to that cause you to go to work each day. So, right? So, but the news wants to simplify it. They want to make it really simple so you have a scapegoat to be angry at. And video games are a good one because a lot of people that watch the news are people who are not familiar with video games or don't have a very good understanding of them. So I just think it's the media finding a scapegoat. No different than when there was the tragedy where Chris Benoit, a professional wrestler for the WWE, had a murder-suicide with his family. It's absolute tragedy, and they blamed it all on steroids. Well, was it a factor? Maybe, but it probably was also a factor that the guy had friggin' CTE and had the brain of a 91-year-old when he did.
His go-to finisher was slamming his head 15 feet into the ground.
Exactly, flying headbutt. So, I mean, like, it's just one of those things. The media always looks for a scapegoat because it makes for a sexy headline that will get clicks, that will get viewers, that will keep people watching until the next segment. Andy, do you have any thoughts on?
Nope.
Oh no, do you want to ban? Do you want to ban all the violent video games?
Yeah, go ahead.
Really?
No,
No more Call of Duty, man. No more
you
Call of
covered
Duty.
it. You got it.
Yeah. Do you
You
know
said everything.
Did you know the ESRB has like just random people that give input on the ratings? It's not like people who play games or like journalists or anything. It's just random people they pick.
I mean, it's not law, so
Yeah, I
it's
guess that's
not
true.
illegal for GameStop to sell a 5-year-old rated M game.
Yeah, it's definitely not illegal. Yeah. All right. Well, next question, Andy.
Pop Tarts. What's the best one?
Oh man, I forgot to go to the store. I was gonna grab a box of my favorites because this topic made me hungry. My favorite Pop Tart is the cherry filled with the frosting with the little sprinkles. They're kind of hard to find. Sometimes in a pinch, I'll go with the strawberry filled with the frosting and the little sprinkles on them. That's my jam. No pun
Brown
intended.
sugar.
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar cinnamon.
Brown sugar cinnamon. See, I can't do the overly sweet ones, but I'm sure they're good. Now they got all these really like advanced ones.
I will say one thing. This is a very underrated opinion. Great value Pop Tarts are better than real Pop Tarts.
You might be right on that. I've never had them.
There's more like paste, like the cream inside of it.
It just depends. Like, see, here's the thing about Pop Tarts is like my favorite parts of a Pop Tart are the edges, because I like the crusty parts.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Do you eat your Pop Tarts raw or do you cook them?
Nah, I like to toast them up.
All right.
Like to warm them up. Like to get them kind of crispy on the outside. That's part of why I like the corners too. Is they get a little crunchier. I like that part. Are you?
Yeah.
Hey, quick side question here. When you're eating a sandwich on like a traditional piece of bread, do you like the crust? Do you not like the crust, or is it like your favorite part? Like,
I'm not gonna say I like it or dislike it. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite part.
Oh, okay. So like I think it's weird that people throw out.
I guess a no to all three questions.
Okay. So like I think it's weird because I was watching like a full grown adult in the office one day, and he had a sandwich and he had cut the crust off of the
I
sandwich.
just eat the whole thing like a man.
Yeah. So my personal favorite part of the bread is the crust part. I like that part. So like you're throwing out the best part.
The first slice. It's like all crust.
Okay, dude, I'm gonna give you the ultimate fat guy tip in the world. So like when I make sandwiches, right, what I'll do is Ashley always gets mad about this. I take that end part and I make a half sandwich. I put like the sandwich ingredients on one half and then I just fold that thing over and I get an extra half sandwich.
I thought you were gonna say you got the top one and then you open the bottom. You got the bottom one. I made a sandwich.
I've done that too. I won't lie, but like what I do is if I get to that
I
end,
don't touch that piece. I throw it away.
Nah, dude, nah, that's the best piece. It's all crust, bro. It's all crust. It's all crusty, man.
I guess to answer your part, I guess it's the least favorite part of the bread.
Oh well, there you go. I got it out of you.
I guess there's two main parts of the bread: the crust and the non-crust. I guess I prefer non-crust.
I want to get some Pop-Tarts now. I know they're probably terrible for me, but I kind of want to get them.
Sponsor us.
Yeah.
And the last question is from Dumbest Sphinx. Why do I hate my life?
I don't know, Dumbest Sphinx. I know you're going through a hard time. Seems like you are. I'm being totally serious here. Like,
yeah.
Just remember it gets better, man. You're at that age where, like, I know I was there, where like some things seem pretty crappy, but you'll get through it. The best is yet to come.
You're super young.
Oh God, God. I mean, like people in their 20s talk about like, oh man, I just don't know what's gonna happen. And I'm like, you're in your 20s. Even like me at the age of 33, I sit there and I tell myself, this is not the best my life is gonna be. You gotta have something to hold on to, like some kind of. I always tell people you're always getting either better or you're getting worse. It's old John Gruden saying, but it's the truth, man. Like, you always want to have like something to chase after, right?
Another John Gruden quote.
What's that?
Good pass rushers are hard to get in this league.
Good pass rushers are hard to get in this league. This guy right here.
Sorry to interrupt.
This guy right here, he's a Pro Bowler. I tell you what. John Gruden. He's gotten off to an awful start in Oakland.
It's second best offense according to paper.
Yeah, that defense is missing somebody who we might be talking about later on. But anyway, thank you everybody for the user submitted questions. We appreciate it. And we appreciate your support. Everybody that submitted a question is a good follow on Twitter and pretty big supporter of the podcast. So thank you for that. Andy,
all right,
you're tapping your head.
Oh, no, I was just a little thing for the video listeners.
Wait, but what does that mean?
You know, you'll have to watch it. You'll have to watch it.
No, you were tapping your head. Like,
it doesn't matter. All right, next topic.
I feel like you're making fun of me now.
I'm not. Don't worry about it.
You trying to?
I didn't know who you were talking about where the Raiders are missing, and then I realized who it was. So I was like,
you trying to clown on me, dog? Like, is that what it is? Like, you want to throw down?
No. I thought there was some injured player for the Raiders. I didn't think of Khalil Mack. Sorry to spoil what you were talking about.
I was talking about Michael Kendricks, but no, I'm just kidding.
He doesn't even play for the Raiders. All right, next topic. We got our film club. We started a little series.
This was a treat for me.
If you guys haven't known, we started a film club to talk about last episode. If you missed that, every single week we're gonna watch a new movie. We'll suggest a movie, then you guys at home and us will watch it. And the next week we'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. This week was my suggestion. I went with They Live, John Carpenter's with film with Roddy Piper as the main actor. I've never seen it.
Really?
I wanted to watch it, so I suggested it to have a little bit of fun. I thought Alex would enjoy it because he's a WWE fan, and I feel like he would just like the movie in general. So
it's actually a little surprising to me. I thought that you suggested this as something that you had watched previously and thought would be good.
Never seen it.
Well, why don't you start? What were your thoughts on the movie?
No, I suggested you go.
Well, I wrote down some notes, and I'm trying to Oh, here we go. There we go. So, first off, I feel like I'm a little biased going into this because
Did you know anything about it before watching it?
So I knew of the movie because when I was very young, I specifically remember my mom saying, this was when I was watching WCW, and Roddy Piper was in WCW.
Yeah.
He was feuding with Hulk Hogan, and he was doing Hollywood Hogan at that point, and he was like main eventing. He was in the main event picture, and I remember my mom saying, "Oh, that's Roddy Piper." I remember him from the movie where he talks about chewing bubble gum and kicking. It's like my mom made some kind of reference to that movie, and
you have to bleep that, by the way.
Yeah, I do have to bleep that. So let's just go ahead and put like 4307, I guess. Yeah. So he had recognition within like my family. People knew him from that, and they also knew that he was a wrestler. So I'm a little bit biased because I always liked Roddy Piper. I thought he was entertaining in wrestling. I thought he was really entertaining in this movie. First off, he looks like $1 million in this movie. That just like immediately jumped out to me. Yeah, like they really did a good job with the casting and the way they shot it, making him look like a legitimate, like really tough guy for what ended up being an action movie. And the other thing that I'll say is going into it, I had questions about Roddy Piper's ability to act. But one thing I noticed throughout the movie is they kind of limit his dialogue to a point. He doesn't talk a lot. There's a lot of scenes in this movie where there isn't a lot of dialogue to begin with. And I thought it was an interesting creative choice. And another thing initially was I thought it was shot really well. I like the way that they shot this movie. I'm not a film expert by any means. I could not go into like, oh, well, they picked this shot for this reason and all that. But I thought it was shot and edited really well. And it didn't look like a B movie. I know some of the special effects probably maybe came across that way. But I was impressed that they did this whole film on a $3 million budget.
13.
13?
Or 4. Sorry.
Okay.
13's box office.
Okay, so it was a $4 million budget. And like that's pretty incredible. This does not, it didn't look like a B movie. The acting was kind of in some parts, but it's a B movie. I thought for a B movie overall, it was a lot of fun. And then finally, when it comes to like the actual undertones of the story, I think it's important to remember, again, this is a B movie. They had a limited budget. They could not conceivably have this. This film probably could not have gone to a 2-hour runtime. They probably didn't have the budget to do that. So, I thought, considering the runtime, I thought they were able to tell a story with a good undertone of like, oh, there's secret societies or breakaway civilizations, and
Hold on. If you haven't watched it yet, by the way, spoiler alerts.
Oh my goodness! Like, if you haven't watched it by now, it's not a spoiler alert. But like, I thought that they did a great job of using that. And what I will say is that still applies today. So like, if that movie came out today, it wouldn't seem dated based on those concepts. It would just seem like a movie that talks about things that are, today we talk so much about income inequality in our own country. So, and then it also had some undertones about there are no more national governments. It's like a one world government, geopolitical stuff.
New world order.
Now, again, you got to keep in mind, this is a B movie, so it doesn't explore those fully. But overall, really enjoyable watch. I like anything with Roddy Piper. I'm surprised that he didn't get more work in Hollywood, like considerably more work after this. But I had a lot of fun watching.
Rated out of 10. What would you rate it?
Considering it's a B movie, and it wasn't trying to be a summer blockbuster, I give it like a solid B plus.
I said out of 10, but okay.
Then out of 10, I would give it an 8.
Yeah, I give it a 7.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. It's I haven't seen it. Obviously, it's my first time seeing it. You kind of go over the main points of all the stuff. But one thing I do know about going into this is actually you mentioned how Roddy doesn't talk that much.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know? You obviously probably didn't know. So John Carpenter directed this, and he didn't want to know the backstory behind the character because the story wasn't about the character. Story is about the whole underground society, stuff like that. Yeah. So the only person that knows the backstory to the character that he plays is himself. He's also, his name is never actually said in the movie at any point.
He's credited as Nada.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was a cool creative choice to not.
Like, it's just like a joke. Like, he doesn't have a name. He's the only character. He's the only person. He's never actually said the backstory behind the character. No one knows his backstory. The only thing in the story that says his backstory is he worked like 10 years in Denver.
Yeah, and it was maybe in a banking job. Because I was about to say that's the only thing you get is when he goes to the employment office. That's it. That's the only piece. That's the only. Also, have to say, the other actor in this movie,
Keith David.
Oh my God, he's so good in this. And his voice. I know he does a lot of voice work. Legendary voice. Just so good command. I really liked the one fight scene between him and Nada was just it was so good and so well done. It wasn't predictable. I liked that about it. Nothing in this movie was predictable. That was another thing I really enjoyed about it. But yeah, great film. You picked a good one, man.
Yeah, I mean, I try. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're out there thinking, oh man, this wasn't very good, just chalk it up to me being biased. Like, Roddy Piper could be in Teletubbies, and I'd be like, this is the best Teletubbies ever.
Have you ever seen the Hulk Hogan Santa movie? What's it called?
Santa with muscles.
Santa with muscles. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not watched it all the way through, but I will say this. Last time I checked, I think somebody surpassed it eventually. But there was a time for about a decade where it was the worst rated movie on IMDb.com.
Oh yeah, I think the worst is it's a spoof movie.
Probably Epic Movie.
Disaster movie,
yeah. I knew it was one of those when they were churning out those spoof movies like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next week?
I mean, it's your choice. So.
Oh, it's my choice? So... Yeah. My choice.
The movie.
my choice is what I believe is the official movie of the podcast, and Road Trip.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm picking it, for two reasons. One, I want to get young Andy's take on it, because
I'd say one thing.
I would say,
You said your first two picks are gonna be similar.
yeah.
Is your second pick Euro Trip,
No, sir. No, sir.
or is it Road Trip Beer Pong?
No, definitely not another road trip movie. So
All right.
I will give you a hint, and you'll probably be able to put it together, but please don't spoil it if you do. It's like I said earlier about cause and effect. So Road Trip came out, and that was the cause, and the effect was my next movie. So anyway, Road Trip. I believe Andy might have been 2 when this came out.
1.
1. Okay.
I think I know the second one.
Okay.
Is it very American?
No.
No. Nope. No.
No.
Didn't get it.
No. Oh, you're thinking like American Pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a fun one to revisit, I think, for me, because I don't know how to describe American Pie. I think you have to be a certain age. You have to be from a certain generation to appreciate it. And that's kind of why I picked this one, because I want to know if it's just me and my nostalgia that makes me think that it's great, or if someone like
I've seen
you...
Road Trip several times.
Okay, well, we're gonna watch it and we're gonna give our thoughts. And I would encourage our audience to watch it and give us their thoughts. And then
I believe Road Trip is on Netflix. Let me quickly Google for the easiest way for you guys to check it out.
yeah, I also kind of, while we're looking that up, I also kind of
Oh, it is not, but it is $3 on YouTube.
well, I'll find some other means to get it. I might just buy it on DVD so I have it forever. They don't have a Blu-ray of it, shockingly enough. I was sad to see that.
A lot of movies don't have Blu-rays.
I know, but I really want a Blu-ray of it, Andy. I want a Road Trip Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And then we could put we could get like a little DCD decal made up, like a DCD. We could have a DCD Film Club decal that we give out to people, and they can put it on Blu-rays of the movies that we pick.
We get DCD Film Club shirt.
Dude, it'd be like the Oprah Book Club.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple people who watch They Live just because of the podcast. So if you're one of those people, shout out to you. I think Dumbest Sphinx was one of them. So.
Comment down below. And also, next week's movie, you guys get to pick it. So if you guys have any suggestions for next week, comment them down below.
We'll run something on Twitter as well. I just want to make sure that people that suggest a movie watch the podcast. So,
Yeah.
Let us know what your favorite DCD moment was when you suggest a movie.
I will say one thing about since you gave me a hint for your next movie.
Yeah.
My next movie happens to line up with Halloween, so
Ooh, I'm excited.
So I get to pick a horror movie.
I think this is becoming one of my favorite segments on the podcast.
I'm thinking between my favorite horror movie of the last year or this year, but I think I'm going to go with the one in the last year. So
this will be fun. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the user
And
suggestions for next week. Well, that's good. Hold on. I'm sorry. I just came up with my next suggestion after the movie After Road Trip. It's a Thanksgiving themed movie.
Mine. I'm pretty sure mine lines up exactly with Thanksgiving and Halloween.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, mine does. I think I did the like look. I didn't look for Christmas, but my pick lines up exactly with Halloween and exactly Thanksgiving.
Well,
so I assume exactly Christmas too.
Well, for Christmas, I think we'll both be able to come up with something great.
Yeah, Die Hard, best Christmas movie ever.
I consider it to be a Christmas movie, but I know I'm not going to get into all that. Anyway, so that was Film Club. We need to get a jingle for Film Club. I think that would be a cool thing. We got to get an intro for the podcast. If you know a musician out there who can maybe do an intro for the podcast, we'll pay for it. I promise.
Yeah, we have the money.
I want
some of it.
I want like
all of it.
I want like a metal intro to the podcast. Yeah, that'd be cool. Especially with the name Dead Channel Duo, it's got to be metal. Come on. Anyway,
All right, now we're getting to the sports. I
Yeah.
believe. If you have anything else.
No, I think that's it. I think we're going into sports next. That's it.
All right, we have our sports. And actually, nope. You did forget one thing.
Surprise topic.
No, I already went over it.
Oh, okay. What did I forget then? Oh, that's at the end of the. That's at the end of the show.
Oh, at the end of the show.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna get. I don't know if he watches sports or goes to the sports.
he does.
All right. Well, anyways, so getting into sports. First off, we have MLB Playoffs update from the last time we recorded. We had the wild card games, the play-in games. We had the Cubs against the Brewers. Cubs lost, and the Cubs played the wild card, and the Cubs lost again, which made the Rockies advance to the NLDS. And then we had the AL wild card, the Athletics versus the Yankees, and the Yankees won, which sets up the Red Sox versus the Yankees.
Yeah,
So, what's your thoughts on the playoffs so far?
it's been exciting. I was happy to see the Brewers win their division. I liked that the NL became a cluster F that led to entertaining baseball in the first week of October. That's just really really cool.
Did you watch the Rockies game today?
I did not.
So game one of the NLDS, Rockies versus Brewers. The Brewers held the Rockies to 0 hits through the 8th. And the Rockies in top ninth came back, tied the ball, game one extra innings, and the Brewers came out with a walk-off single by Mike Moustakas.
I think it's going to be a good postseason. I will stick with my original predictions. I really do think Brewers will run the table in the NL. I think that they will go to the World Series and they will face the Red Sox. I think the Yankees look hot. They look red hot, but I think the Red Sox are just a bit better, and that'll flesh itself out over a 7-game series. Red Sox will obviously go to the World Series after that, I think, and we'll probably get a really entertaining. I think we'll still get a really entertaining ALCS between the Astros and the Red Sox. But hey man, the MLB has a great postseason. It's always a lot of fun. It's one of the better postseasons.
Agree with me?
I did see that.
Yeah, I was like, is exactly how I ranked them. The best playoffs is NHL's 1, number 2 is MLB, then NBA, then NFL is the worst playoffs. And NFL always is boring playoffs. But if you go to the regular season, the NFL is the best by far. Then the NBA, then the MLB, and then NHL. NHL and MLB kind of flip flop because they get near the middle of the road of the regular season for both. You kind of get, stop paying attention.
NHL postseason is ridiculous. Like with how
it's so fun.
Intense it is,
if you
on the edge
don't
of your
watch
seat.
hockey, just please watch one postseason series. It's so dramatic and it's beautiful.
I would encourage people that aren't into hockey, pick a team and follow them for a year.
It's a beautiful sport.
And you'll probably find yourself being a bigger, because that's definitely what I recommend to people in Major League Baseball. Sometimes I'll have somebody come back to me and be like, you know what, I tried it, it didn't work out. But like as an MLB fan, I realize it's a lot of stuff to consume. There's no way you could watch without it being a full-time job. Like if you're an ESPN analyst, there's no way you could watch all the games. But like in the MLB, I follow the Marlins because I hate myself. And, that's my favorite team from when I was a child. But, still, my point is, you pick a team, even if you just don't have one geographically, just pick one and follow it, and you'll probably get into the MLB a little bit more than you were before.
Pick a local team or your brother's favorite, your best friend's favorite.
Go to a hat store, pick out the coolest looking hat. Doesn't matter how you pick one.
Close your eyes, do a 360 and point.
I mean, if I was going to a hat store and I had to pick a team, it'd probably be the Blue Jays. I think the new Blue Jays hat is exceptional.
They're up and coming.
Yeah, I love their newest hat. It's top notch.
Or you can follow where Bryce Harper goes, and they're like, oh, Bryce Harper signed the Cubs. Cubs fan.
Yeah. I can't wear a Blue Jays hat though, because I wore, by the way, just side note, I posted some pictures of myself on social media wearing a Jaguars hat one day, and I got like all these comments like, you need to take that off, and like, I thought you were a Bucks fan and you're a bandwagoner, and I'm like, whoa guys, I just like the hat. Like, it's not that I'm Would you wear a Yankees hat?
No, never. Couldn't catch me wearing anything Yankees.
Hate to see it.
I do own, I will say, I own like 22 NBA jerseys for 22 different teams. And as a Celtics fan, I don't own a Lakers jersey and don't ever plan on owning one.
I mean, I feel that way about the Miami. Like, as a Magic fan, I feel that way about the Miami Heat. Like, I can't stand the Heat, you know.
Would you ever wear a Mets jersey?
Oh, no. I was going to say, like, for me as a Marlins fan, that'd be like you asking me to wear a Braves hat.
There's like a funny little thing that I've noticed between like my YouTube community, like this YouTube community, because you're a Marlins fan, you hate Mets fans.
Yeah.
Giraffe Neck Mark's a Met fan, and me and him bond over hating the Yankees, in which Bengal's a Yankees fan.
Yeah, I mean, I can't stand anybody that plays in that division. Like, I don't like the Braves. I don't like the Phillies. I don't like the Nationals. I really don't like the Mets.
Or the Orioles or the Blue Jays. I really just don't like the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different when those teams aren't really a threat to your team
ever.
But when for the majority of the Marlins' existence, those teams that I mentioned have pummeled the Marlins because they've only really been good. The Marlins have only made the playoffs 2 times, and both times they won the World Series, so they're undefeated in the playoffs in terms of series, right? But man, they pummel them, and you grow to hate them. But yeah, I'm excited for it, man. Are your predictions staying the same? You changing it up any?
Well, I have to change the Oakland one because I had Oakland going to the DS.
Okay, but beyond that, like the final result.
Yeah, Yankees 1-5 against the Red Sox.
Oh Jesus!
And then lose to the Indians.
Such a pessimist. All right, so what's our next topic?
All right, we have the first quarter of the NFL season is done. And we did a little thing before the season where we predicted the awards. So let's predict the awards as of right now. And I do have a little surprise thing I didn't tell you about before the show. As of right now, through the first quarter of the NFL, who's winning the Super Bowl?
Okay.
Who you got?
You want to go first?
I'm going the same team I predicted like 2 weeks ago, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay. So I am going to stick with my original pick because they have turned things around. The New Orleans Saints.
And Mark Ingram's going on suspension?
That might help a little bit. I don't know. I've seen conflicting reports about how good of a shape he's in. So I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with the New Orleans Saints. That was my original prediction, and I stand by it.
All right, solid. Your second favorite team in the league?
Definitely not my second favorite team in the league. I don't have a second favorite team in the league.
If you had
if I had to pick a second favorite team in the league, it would be the Jacksonville Jaguars because I know a bunch of people that are Jaguars fans that I really care about, or it would be the Miami Dolphins because it's my mom's favorite team. I like to see my mom happy.
Rams.
True. I mean,
that was a local team a couple years ago.
Yeah.
All right, going to the awards, we have the MVP.
Okay.
My personal MVP of the season is, I think, the unanimous MVP of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I hate to be anticlimactic here, but I could not think of a better. If the season ended today, that would have to be the MVP, undoubtedly. 14
touchdowns, 0 interceptions, undefeated. He's legit. I'll say that.
Yeah,
if I ever had a doubt in my mind, he'd change my mind quick.
Well, I was one of the people who had a lot of doubts, and I know that I've had several people reach out to me on Twitter and YouTube and ask me about it specifically, and I am happy to say, and I'll say what I said in my stream the other night, I'm happy to say that I was wrong. I never wanted to see this young man not succeed. I love seeing I've read a really, really good story. ESPN probably still has it up about Pat Mahomes' background and how he's kind of blended into the Kansas City community, and they've embraced him, and he's embraced the community and all that. He sounds like a very fine young man. Very happy to see him being successful. And I've also got to say, one of the most entertaining guys to watch on the football field right now, period.
Most entertaining team to watch.
Has to be. Him and Tyreek Hill, like, make plays every week that make me go, oh, my God, what happened? Yeah. It's not even fair.
And if they're having a bad day, Kareem Hunt's there.
Yeah. I mean.
Travis Kelce's there.
But Pat Mahomes, man. Yeah, Pat Mahomes
Chris Conley's there.
Has to be the MVP.
Yeah.
He spreads the wealth, too. That's what I like about him. He hits multiple receivers. Yeah. Everybody gets involved, and I like that. So
it just, Patrick Mahomes. I picked him in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Didn't think this was going to happen. He's the number one quarterback in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, he tortured me one week in some league. I don't know who I
played you.
I think it was we went up against each other.
And I destroyed you.
Yeah.
We go against each other in our big money league.
I know.
You're projected to beat me by like 18 points.
Yeah.
But I threw in some risky players in my lineup to try to win.
I'm not comfortable with those projections. So, MVP, that was pretty much a no-brainer. You want to move on to Offensive Player of the Year next?
Offensive Player of the Year?
Yeah.
Who you got?
So, I currently have Alvin Kamara. And the reason I say that is I know he got off to a little bit of a slow start. But last week was very explosive. The week before that, also very explosive. I think Mark Ingram will slowly see himself becoming second banana in that New Orleans offense. And I will say he has been the best weapon they have other than Michael Thomas, who would be my second choice for Offensive Player of the Year.
That's funny. So that's my Offensive Player of the Year, Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas is off to an unbelievable
record-breaking receptions.
Yeah.
Insane. Last time I checked, it was week 3. It was the last time I checked. The start of week 3, he had 38. And as of right now, he has 42.
Yeah. I'm just going with Kamara here because I think that over the course of the year, he will... I know this is going to be a very unpopular stance, but if he continues at the pace he's on, he will be a better dual threat back than Todd Gurley stat-wise. So just bear with me. I know it's a little bit of a risky pick here, but I think
leader.
Yeah, I think it could be. So Defensive Player of the Year. I think we all know who this would be for the first 4 weeks. I had the guy that I
picked at the start of the year.
Yeah. Good
prediction. Khalil Mack, the sack attack. The main man.
Yeah,
having better stats than most teams.
Here's where I sat on this one. I thought about it for about 2 seconds before I said, if I say anybody else, I'm lying.
You're gonna get roasted.
Yeah, I mean, if he slows down over the next 12 weeks or something like that, yeah, maybe. But I mean, if he continues at this pace, I'll be honest with you. If he continues at this pace and the Bears make the playoffs, he enters into the MVP discussion. As crazy as that sounds, he's playing that well. So it's a runaway right now for Defensive Player of the Year, but I think that he would enter the MVP discussion. So let's move on next to Offensive Rookie of the Year. This one, I know my pick might be a little controversial because he got off to an unbelievably slow start, and people were he was actually trending on Twitter because people were saying what?
We may have the same reason.
Oh, he was trending on Twitter his first night in the league because people were like, where the hell is this guy? And then he has blown up since, and I think he will continue to blow up because he's not facing double coverage or triple coverage like his teammate on the other side of him, and that's Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley will be our Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he looks...
leading the league in touchdowns right now.
Roll Tide. I'm not even an Alabama fan, but I just wanted to say
the Atlanta Falcons finally found their number 2 wide receiver, and his name is Julio Jones.
Yeah, and no, but I think he'll definitely still be second banana. I don't think the teams necessarily like game plan for him, And I do think that he gets I think a lot of the stress on Ridley is alleviated to a point by Sanu. I think Sanu is still a really, really talented guy that helps out a lot in that pass game.
He's getting some work done.
It's a dangerous pass offense. If they could figure out the run game.
Do you know how many touchdowns Julio has this year?
I think it's like 1, 2?
0.
Okay. I think Ridley has
Calvin
7.
Ridley has 6.
Okay, 6. Okay.
Julio has 0.
Well, you know what? Julio, if you go back and you watch the tape, and I would encourage you to watch a Falcons game, pause it, and look at the coverage he gets, especially when they show an overhead cam. You can tell they are trying to make sure Julio Jones does not beat them.
And the massive lack of red zone targets he gets.
I will never understand that. That to me
he's
is
just a massive human being. Like, just throw it to him.
That's a coaching choice.
And also, even if he's on the field, someone's got to be open because they're not going to leave Julio open.
How is it that AJ Green in Cincinnati, with their coaching staff that is abysmal at times, can figure that out? Hey, we got this guy. Let's get him.
3 touchdowns and 3 catches, week 2.
Whatever. Anyway, moving on. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I feel like we may have the same one on this one as well.
I don't think we do. Mine is Denzel Ward. I really like
same pick. Denzel Ward.
I like the way I know I picked him. I think I picked him before the season as my Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm pretty sure I did the same.
And I know I mentioned a couple other guys like the 2 kids in Green Bay, but Denzel Ward, man, has been playing really phenomenal. PFF has him ranked on a 100 scale. They have him as a 77. They say he's one of the better cover corners in the league right now, and I'd have to agree with him. He plays very aggressively, but he doesn't get burnt. A lot of young players do that. They'll play overly aggressive and they get burnt. I haven't seen that from Denzel Ward. If he continues playing the way he does, man, he's got it locked up.
Another guy that's looking pretty good, which the Raiders don't have that much going for them. He's not technically a rookie, but it's his rookie campaign, I guess. Garrett Conley.
He looks
Which
good.
he didn't play at all last year. He's looking pretty good.
He looks good, yeah. So, I think the next topic,
We're not done.
I'm sorry, not topic, I apologize. Category would be Comeback Player of the Year. Mine is Ryan Tannehill. I think that Ryan Tannehill has had a tremendous comeback campaign. Dolphins are 3-1. That has exceeded expectations greatly. He's been a big part of that, and he has been pretty darn good, pretty efficient. It might be the best version of Ryan Tannehill we've seen yet, and it's showing in the win and loss column, which has always been his problem. So that's my pick.
Yep. He's 8-2 last 10 games.
Yeah.
Mine is I don't know if you count him as a comeback player of the year, but he only played 7 games last year, so Aaron Rodgers. You know, he's the best player in the world. No argument. You can't. The football gods sent Aaron Rodgers down for us to just. It's insane. He's so good.
It's a shame.
And he's playing injured.
So I know he won a Super Bowl, but I think my greatest fear as just a football fan is that he'll only win one Super Bowl and he'd be kind of like Dan Marino, where you go, my God, this guy was a legend, but he just never had the team around him to win that multiple Super Bowls or have that dynasty run. And Aaron Rodgers is just such a joy to watch. If you're a football fan, it's a treat. And I can even deal with the obnoxious Packers fans who are quickly becoming one of the more obnoxious fan bases in the NFL. Sorry, Packers fans, but you know it's true. It's okay. I'm okay dealing with that just to watch Aaron Rodgers.
You know, I think you mentioned scary moment about that. I think the scariest moment for all teams is when you give Aaron Rodgers a Hail Mary opportunity.
I mean, I think what scares me if I'm facing the Packers is if I'm up by 21 and that lead gets cut to 14. Yeah, and then it gets cut to 7. Like, you start looking at the sideline and the players are just kind of like, You know, like they just kind of have that look like, oh God, we didn't think this was going to happen. Like they get shell shocked, and I don't
All right,
know.
so
You can just never count them out. So our last time,
so far we've had 6 things. We've agreed on 3 of them. Without we didn't talk before this.
I think
Just
we're
happen to
gonna,
have 3
I
of the
think we're
same.
gonna
No, we had
disagree
4 of
on
the same.
this.
4 of the same.
Oh jeez.
So we had Patrick Mahomes the same, Khalil Mack the same, Calvin Ridley the same, Denzel Ward the same.
Yeah,
So coach of the year, who you have?
I have Andy Reid. I would, I would also say Doug Marrone. I would like to see him win because I think he should have won last year. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think this year they'll have a really strong campaign in Jacksonville, and he's doing a great job coaching this year just like he did last year. But the work Andy Reid and his coaching staff have done with a young Pat Mahomes, bringing in new pieces, installing an offense that has imagination again, installing an offense that doesn't look like it's going to peter out after 5 weeks like last year's offense, I think at this point in the year, absolutely deserves Coach of the Year.
And also Randy Reid. We have 5 of the same.
It's
I guess
over-
it's a true testament.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
I will say my preseason pick was Pat Shermer. I will go back and say I was wrong.
I don't even remember my preseason pick. I'd have to think. I'll have to go back. I know it wasn't Dirk Cutter.
I mean, you first 3 weeks you could give it to him.
Nah. Not even then. Not even then. So, I think we got to do our week 5 picks since we're out of all of our topics now.
Speaking of week 5 picks, the Patriots beat the Indianapolis Colts. As of right now, the score is 38-24. It looks to be over. And we both went with the New England Patriots right there. Just let everyone know, Thursday night game.
Yep.
Going into the week. First, we have the Tennessee Titans at the Buffalo Bills. Who do you have?
Going Titans. I like the way they've been playing lately.
Titans have beat the Eagles. They've beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your face came one way. There it goes. But
Yep.
Titans, major wins in the schedule. And Buffalo, I mean, they took down the Vikings, but that's might be their only win of the season. Next, we have the New York Giants at Carolina, playing against Carolina. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers.
So, I've lost all faith in the Giants, so I'm going Carolina here. I also think Carolina's putting things together slowly but surely like they did last year. They're playing at home. They traditionally play well at home, so I got the Panthers.
And then we have the Miami Dolphins at the Cincinnati Bengals. And I really like this Bengals offense. I really like this Bengals team might sneak into a wild card game. I'm gonna go with Bengals.
I'm going to go the opposite direction here. I really like this Dolphins team. I know that they got shellacked last week by the Patriots, and I do like the Bengals. I think the Bengals are playing very good football, and I believe right now they are leading their division. But I like this Dolphins team. I'm picking the Dolphins.
All right, then we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield, the main man. And I'm going to go with an L for Baker Mayfield, going with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I think this is Baker Mayfield's first really tough test as a starting quarterback. The Ravens D is no slouch. They're going to throw a lot of stuff at him that he probably hasn't seen before, try to confuse him. They've got enough game tape on him now, I think, to have an idea of what might work against him as a rookie quarterback. So I'm going Baltimore here.
And we have the Green Bay Packers at Detroit. And speaking of Aaron Rodgers, going to go with the Packers.
Yeah, this one's a pretty easy one. Lions have looked abysmal on defense. The offense is okay, I guess. But, yeah, Packers.
Then we have the possible AFC Championship matchup. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. The undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm going with, by record, the upset, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I also have this one being an upset. I like the odds. If there's one D-line that can pester Pat Mahomes, it's going to be Jacksonville. And if Jacksonville can't bother Pat Mahomes, Well, everybody else is in a lot of trouble. But I think they will get to them. I think it'll be a pretty tough game. It'll be a good one. Great one to watch. But I got Jacksonville.
Leonard Fournette is ruled out, but no concerns from me.
They're used to not having him.
We have the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets. And I'm going with the New York Jets, which may be a hot take.
A little bit of a hot take. I think Vegas would disagree with you on that one. I haven't seen the line on this game, but I'm going to actually go with the Broncos here. Little risky with them traveling to New York. That's quite the trip for them. But I think that defense will bother Sam Darnold enough. And I got to say, man, I think Darnold has been thrown out there a little bit too early. I also don't think he has enough weapons around him to make it work. I kind of feel sorry for the kid because a lot of people out there are like, oh, man, he's going to be a bust. Come on, man. It's too early to say that. But, yeah, I got the Broncos.
All right, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons, which, I still have concerns with the offense, but Calvin Ridley been tearing it up.
This is a tough one, man. I have questions about both teams, specifically with their defenses. And I'm just going to go with Pittsburgh because they're playing at home. And I don't trust Atlanta in close games. But if you're right, it wouldn't surprise. I think both of these teams are playing abysmal defense right now.
Next, we have the Oakland Raiders up against the Los Angeles Chargers. And I feel like if there's going to be a team that messes up this game and loses, it's going to be the Chargers, but I'm going with the Chargers.
I love the Chargers. I know you guys have been hearing me say it all year, so I'm going with the Chargers here. They're playing in their home stadium, which I think is a Soup Bowl. So, yeah, Chargers.
I don't know. I feel like if there's a team that's going to lose, the Raiders, it's going to be Chargers.
I get that, but I don't know, man. Like, I really like the Chargers. Yeah. Melvin Gordon, by the way, I didn't say it earlier. He could be Offensive Player of the Year at the end of the... He's having a hell of a year. Happy for that young man.
Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles' offense still hasn't convinced me yet, and I'm going with the Vikings.
I'm going to go Vikings here as well. I liked how Kirk Cousins looked last week. I still have a lot of questions about that Minnesota defense. I'm still trying to figure out what happened. I don't know what happened because they didn't lose a lot of players or anything, and they're just not playing well. But I like the way Cousins looked putting up points, so I'm going with the Vikings. Also, the Eagles do not have Darren Sproles, I don't think, and that's very problematic.
I mean, instantly lose.
I love Sproles.
So, who are you going with?
Oh, Minnesota. Sorry.
Now we have the Arizona Cardinals versus the C.J. Beathard, Casey Jarrett Beathard, the man, the myth, the legend. C.J. Beathard wins his first game of the season at home against Arizona.
I like C.J. Beathard. Do you, as a 49ers fan, you think he's good? I think he's a great backup.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, so, I mean,
to quote Reuben Foster, he ain't no Rudy Poo.
He ain't no Rudy Poo. I agree with that. That's a great way to put it. Thank you, Reuben Foster. I appreciate that. That's a great way to sum it up. But, yeah, I got the 49ers here. I don't like the Cardinals at all.
Yeah.
With or without Josh Rosen. I just
to quote myself, trash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about Rudy Poos, Arizona's full of Rudy Poos.
They're the Rudy Poo. All right.
Number one podcast on iTunes for number of times said Rudy Poo.
All right. We keep it in the division. We have the LA Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. Rams are undefeated till someone proves me wrong. I'm going to go with the Rams.
Yeah, that offense is a juggernaut, isn't it? And defense isn't. It's nothing to shake a stick at. So
it ain't no Rudy Poo.
Yeah. Here we go again. I mean, I'm a little concerned that they're playing in Seattle because I realize it can be a little difficult there, mainly with weather. I know a lot of people talk about crowd noise. I'm not really concerned about that, not with the Rams at least. But I'm taking the Rams here.
You know, Earl Thomas is the number one ranked safety by Pro Football Focus.
Well, too bad. He's also
Yeah,
number one
probably got
in.
injured.
Yeah, he's also number one in giving his teammates the finger.
You know, Madden, when you play with Earl Thomas, it says former Seattle Seahawk Earl Thomas now.
I know. I think that thing has run its course, and I feel bad for Earl Thomas. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like he's the last real piece of the Legion of Boom, and he just wants to move on.
Bobby Wagner.
I know, but I'm talking about the second,
main three.
Yeah, and I would just, I would want to move on too. Yeah. And I don't blame him for that. And then the other thing is, I get it. He agreed to that contract, and from that standpoint, I think he should play out the contract that he agreed to. But I get it. He wants more money. Hey, we all want more money.
Do you see what Le'Veon Bell said about the injury?
No, that might be interesting.
Le'Veon Bell says, "I'll keep on being that bad guy for people like you."
Oh man, that's real.
And then we have the Dallas Cowboys at Houston Texans. To go back on what we said about the Cardinals, the Texans are trash. Yeah, so I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm going to go Cowboys here too. And I'm not really high on Houston. I think DeAndre Hopkins is really the only thing right now that's living up to expectations on that team. But Dallas has been shockingly I'm sounding like Skip Bayless. They're being shockingly competent in close games.
Defense is looking solid.
It's weird, dude. Like, they might be sneaky good and sneak their way into the division race, because I think the NFC East is wide open right now. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's wide open.
Next, we have the Washington Redskins at the New Orleans Saints. And based off of your pick earlier, let's see who you go with.
Good luck, Washington. You're playing Drew Brees at home, where he's unbelievably good. You're also facing Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram at home, where they have been historically very good. Good luck.
Speaking of good lucks, hot take. Coming off a bye, Washington has over a week to prepare for this game.
Okay.
They've looked great the first 3 weeks, besides that, I think it was a Green Bay game that they didn't look so hot.
They've looked good. I'm not going to take that away from them.
Gonna go with the Redskins. So,
they have
hot take of the week.
They have a chance, and the reason I say that is I feel like New Orleans' defense has significantly regressed year over year. It's a little bit concerning. It's gotten better, but it still looks like it's regressed.
So that's our picks of the week. Got some hot takes.
I have one more pick. We left one out.
Did we?
Yeah, I think so. It's a tough matchup, but I think that the bye week's going to beat Tampa, because they're pretty bad.
Yeah. Tampa's going to take the L.
It was a fun 2 weeks, everybody. It was a really fun 2 weeks.
I will say one thing about my team, the 49ers.
Yeah.
I have way more fun going into the game with CJ starting. I'm like, CJ Beathard. I don't expect to win. I don't care if we lose because it's CJ Beathard, but CJ's my man.
Yeah, when I saw the announcement that Jameis Winston will be the starter, like, officially going forward, I said to myself, well, at this point, I'm kind of where you're at. I don't have any expectations.
Who the Bucs played last week?
Chicago Bears.
I think it was, who was it? Danny Trevathan tweeted, "We be eating those W's tonight, boys."
Yeah, they played a great game. There were points. I don't want to get on too much of a tangent here because I know we're running on time, but there were points in that Buccaneers game where Ashley told me to turn it off because I was getting upset, and I just remember telling Ashley. And I was pointing out specific players, in particular Ali Marpet, who on a couple plays looked like he just could not care less. And I was like, if they don't care, I don't know why I do. And
Yeah.
like when I reach that point, like it is time to turn it off. But it was embarrassing towards
There's
the
only
end.
ever been one time where I wanted to turn it off. It was, I think, game 3 of the ALDS in 2013. Red Sox versus Tigers. Tigers were up by 4. Big man, Big Poppy hit a game tying grand slam right before I was tempted to turn it off.
Yeah, I've had those moments as a fan where I turn it off because I'm just getting too. Sometimes you really like, and that's why I try to temper my expectations. But like when the Magic lost in the final, it's like there were points where I wanted to turn that off because it was hard to watch. You know, like
Yeah.
it's like, do the Lakers really need another NBA championship?
I
Like, good God! And then like
mean, they got to catch up to the Celtics,
But the
One behind.
Bucks effort last week, if you go back and watch that game during garbage time, there were several players on the field on both sides of the ball for the Bucks who were literally mailing it in, and especially on the O-line where defenders, the Bears, they didn't care. Like they're still
Yeah.
playing. And I remember one of the Bears just ran right through and just smacked Peyton Barber full speed, and I'm like, that's just inexcusable. But anyway. So,
And those played a Bears without Akeem Hicks because he got kicked out of the game real early.
didn't matter. Didn't matter. Bucks couldn't move. That defense is sick. That defense is sick, dude. Say whatever you want about that Bucks offense. Oh, the Fitzmagic's gone or whatever. That offense was a good offense for 3 weeks against NFL defenses.
And the Bears are amazing.
Bears are scary, bro. The
Yeah.
Bears made Aaron Rodgers look human for a little bit, and that's not easy to do. It's a scary.
They three-and-outed him twice to start the game.
And Trubisky had a good game as well. As did Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen balled out.
6 touchdowns.
Yeah. Crazy.
Most in Bears history.
Yeah.
The most in Bears history before that was 4.
Good job,
Yeah.
Bucks. Setting history.
Yeah.
Setting the record books. So
that's all for the show. Got
Well-
anything? Well, we have one more thing.
I have some pitching to always do. So, as you guys know, there's a video version of the podcast. I noticed our audio-only numbers are way up, and our video numbers are kind of down. So, if you're out there listening in audio and you're wondering, man, I really wish I could see what these guys are talking about, like when they talk about what the other guy's face looks like or whatever, or if you want to see Andy's new office setup, which looks really, really tight, you can go to youtube.com and just search for Dead Channel Duo, and you'll find us there.
We're finding on the sidebar on all of our channels.
Yeah, and then if you're on iTunes, Stitcher, I'm running out of the name, Spotify, anybody else that really does podcasts. The only one we're not on is SoundCloud because I heard they're going under. You can check us out there. Please subscribe. That really helps us out. And then when it comes to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, and we'll give you a shout-out on the show. I noticed a couple people left reviews but didn't write a review. And if you don't write a review, I don't know who did it, so I'm sorry. But write a review. I'll give you a shout-out. And this week, I got to give a shout-out to Jarrod. He's on Twitter, at
Spoon
Sandwich. Yeah, one of the coolest Twitter handles out there. And Jarrod, I always like to give people a fun fact about who leaves a 5-star review. Jarrod is a connoisseur of Hallmark Channel movies. He knows all of them almost. It's unbelievable. He has like an encyclopedic knowledge of Hallmark Movie Channel movies and how awful they are. And I actually kind of want Jarrod to suggest one for our movie club. So we have to go through that. In fact, if Jarrod could tell me the name of the really awful Christmas Hallmark movie that but there was one in particular. There was one in particular that he was telling me about. He was like, it was so low budget that in one of the scenes where they would have had extras, they literally had mannequins in costumes, trying to make them look like humans. So,
what would be my fun fact if I left 5-star review?
I
A
would
fun fact to give about me.
Oh man. I'm trying to think.
I have a fun fact for you.
Yeah, let's go with yours.
Purple swordfish.
Yeah.
It's about his wife.
Okay.
But his wife makes cool magnets.
That is a good fact. That is a really good fact. I can't think of a fun one for you at the moment. There was something you told me when you came down here to Florida that I was like, wow, I don't meet many people who can say that. I'll have to think about it. I don't know. I could just say, you know, this Andy guy is like the palest dude I know. And I know a lot of white people. This dude's like pale as pale can be. If I found out later on that you were a golem, it wouldn't shock me. But are you familiar with a golem?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
You look like a character from Enchanted Arms sometimes. Anyway. So, you ever play that game, Enchanted Arms? It's a good one. You should. If you're out there, it's a good one on the Xbox 360. So, Andy, anything else before we get out of here?
T-shirts.
Oh, yeah, T-shirts. Yeah, you get a T-shirt in the link. It's
Check
in
it out.
YouTube. Yeah, it's even on
Film
iTunes.
Club T-shirt coming soon.
Oh, man. Andy, you're the graphics guy. Like, maybe we could make like a cool film club, like a DCD Film Club T-shirt. That'd be tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to work on that. We'll collaborate
Anything
on
else?
that.
Red Sox playoffs, ALDS. Hopefully they win. If
Yeah.
by the time this comes out they're 2-0 and they're winning. Yes. If they're 0-2, don't let us win the next game. If it's 1-1, we're still winning it. Bruins, their season so far, opener, lost 7-0 against the Capitals. Demolished. And then they beat Buffalo 3-0, so I guess it's not nothing to panic about. But on pace to go 41-41. Bruins step it up.
Kyrie Irving's gonna apparently re-sign with the
Celtics.
Good news there in Boston as well. Boston fans rejoice.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, that's going to do it for episode 14. Hard to believe we're there, but hope to see you on 15. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Deuce.